Hi everyone, it's Urban Investor here, and today I want to talk about Vertcoin. Now, Vertcoin's been an extremely volatile crypto over the last couple of weeks and months, making it a very good trading opportunity. So hopefully over the next couple of minutes I can share a few simple tips with you guys to hopefully make similar sort of gains as I have done over the last few days. So let's jump straight into it. So on the screen we have the dailies for Vertcoin relative to Bitcoin for the last 6 months, and we can see for 4 to 5 months it's been relatively stable-ish, hovering around the 25,000 Satoshi level, and then all of a sudden late October we've had this massive exponential growth, and just as quick this massive sell-off in the subsequent days. So showing the massive volatility in the market, but also a massive opportunity if you time the market correctly. So the most important message here really is not to FOMO and think, okay, there's this massive incremental growth, exponential growth, I'm going to enter here because this line is going to continue to the moon, right? So I think the most important message here is to really understand when to enter and when to sell. So we can see various lines on the chart here. We've got a couple of black lines which I'll talk about in a second, and then we have these red and blue lines at the bottom. Now these lines represent moving averages. So the red one is a 21-day moving average, and for me this is a good indicator to show exuberance in the market. It's a good method to see, okay, are we on an uptrend, or are there bearish signs, and therefore we see a drop as an example here. So this is just to give you an indication of momentum, and then the 50-day is a good indication to see a level of entry and support. So as you can see, usually the 50-day is a good level of support, and therefore when we have a bearish run, it's a good indicator to show support and a level of bottoming off so that you can enter the market. So that's the first real indicator that's really useful, the moving averages. The second simple method to use is also the level of resistance and support. So here we can see at previous highs we saw a level of resistance, and futures tends to sort of repeat itself, and all of a sudden that previous level of resistance becomes a level of support here for this drop. So by just using the level of resistance and supports, again here you can see at previous highs here we've seen another level of support here, and vice versa. So using the moving averages and the level of supports, this is a good indication when to sort of enter the market, and then in terms of when you want to sell, you can potentially, if this picks up, expect some resistance here, and potentially put in a sell order there as well. So so just shows how important it is in terms of to time the market, not to enter at all-time highs, and also to time it correctly so that you enter at a level of relative lows so that you can essentially make your gains, which we'll see in the next couple of examples where I've managed to enter into a couple of trades and make some good returns. So moving on to my first trade, we can see the moving averages providing levels of support here. So this is where I've used the confirmation to enter a trade. We could see we had a nice bull run. Around this moment I was watching that price action, waiting to see some clear indication of a run before entering the market, and essentially I made my first buy around about this level here, around about 53,000 Satoshi level, and then we can see I had some predetermined sell levels. So the first one around about the 74,000 level, I sold approximately half of my investment at the first level, and then the remaining 25% and 25% over the next couple of days, and locked in my profit. And as you can see, we had the pullback, which gave me another opportunity to re-enter the market. But again, this emphasizes the point to really have a clear strategy, have an understanding of where you want to enter, where you want to exit. Otherwise you can get lost in the FOMO and the FUDing, and therefore what happens is you do not lock your gains and essentially back to square one. So this is a good example to show how important it is to have a clear strategy, and then the reward for it, a decent return, 45%, and 0.022 in Bitcoin. So after locking in my gains from my first trade, I managed to re-enter the market at this nice pullback, and as you can see, I staggered my purchases initially at the 60,000, then at the 55,000 and 42,000 Satoshi levels. Now, as you can see, I managed to stagger my purchases. So initially, at my first entry, I bought 22, and then 34, and then finally 44. So as you can see, as the price gets cheaper, I've been buying more. So again, using the averages, moving day 21 and 50-day to determine when to set my buy levels. So this is sort of timed it perfectly because as you can see from the price action, it didn't really fall beyond that point, so I managed to pick up some really good cheap coins throughout my buy orders. And the reason for the staggering is clearly you don't know how low the coin's going to go or the pullback's going to go. So this is a good way of ensuring you enter at a certain level. So if it only pulls back to 60,000 and then goes back up again, you've managed to make some gains, but not sort of put all your eggs in one basket and hope for it to pull back all the way to 42. So as you can see, I managed to get in really cheaply, and as a result I managed to make a very quick trade. You can see within one day I managed to almost make 50% on my return here, selling most of my purchases from the previous day, and then had my sell levels at 72 again, locking in my final sort of piece here. So you can see again the importance of timing. So where we entered initially back here, I think it was around here, and then sell at the highs here, and then be able to re-enter at the lows. And as a result, we saw 45% gains in 8 days in the previous trade, and just continuing on from that, another 28% obtained in another week. So moving on to my final trade in Vertcoin. So through this massive pullback, I managed to obtain some at the 60,000. As you saw, I sold in the previous trade, but kept a small amount. And then as the price level wasn't, or I should say stabilizing or dropping any further, I bought some at 72, slightly higher than I would have expected, But again, a few days later we saw a bit of a pull back, and then I bought another 10 at 50,000. So I currently have about 41 across various prices. And now I'm looking to sell. Hopefully we'll have a nice bullish movement back up to the previous highs of around the 90,000 Satoshi level. So this is where I'm looking to sell and hopefully lock in my final position and get another 40% return on investment. I'm hoping to have this in the next week or so, but again, we managed to lock in our gains previously, so I'm not really in a hurry. And if so, we can always lower our sell level if we wanted to reinvest elsewhere. So in summary, we can see Vertcoin is an extremely volatile crypto. When timed right, we can make some really good gains in a very short space of time. So I have listed a couple of points which will hopefully summarize and provide some key steps to achieving this. So first and foremost, do not FOMO. So when you see the line exponentially grow, the most important thing is not just jump on the train blindly thinking it's going to keep growing. We need to trade with strategy and make sure we buy low and sell high. And to help us do this, we need to use the indicators as we've seen in the video, use the moving averages, use the level of support and resistance levels to help us determine when to enter the market and also potentially when to sell. So we definitely need to have some strategy predetermined so that we don't trade with emotion essentially. Hopefully this video has been very beneficial. We can make some gains in the near future, and please like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next one.